Hello everybody, I'm Martin. Welcome to another episode of Minecraft Enigmatica 2 Expert. Today, I want to show off my new chemical lab. Oh, wait, there's nothing here yet. Because that's what we're going to do today. I'm finally going to stop stalling and get started into Advanced Rocketry. Except I'm not really. We're actually going to do Nuclearcraft so we can unlock Advanced Rocketry. Because if we look at the gates down here for Advanced Rocketry, it requires a machine structure, which looks completely innocuous because there's these iron shafts which are easy to make. This Canelo cell frame, which is kind of a pain, but I just made one of these and I have a ton of the components left over. And then there are these elite platings, which the other Nuclearcraft platings weren't bad, right? This doesn't look too bad to make. What's this crystal binder here? Okay, magnesium dust, pulverized obsidian, crushed rhodochrosite, that's all doable, and then calcium sulfate, huh? And this is where we fall down a gigantic rabbit hole that requires countless machines to process this one single type of dust. It takes an electrolyzer, a melter, 4 chemical reactors, a fluid enricher, and a crystallizer to do this process. And we're going to set it up right here. Don't worry, I have an image of the flowchart we need that I found online, and I'll put it in the description. If we take a quick look back into the Nuclearcraft section of the quest book, you can see that I have an awful lot of this that isn't filled in. And ironically, not a whole lot of this is used in this process. The crystallizer is over here, but we'll need to make the ingot former as well to unlock it. And then everything else is up in this top block that is blocked by the salt mixer. So we're going to start off by making the ingot former and the salt mixer to get them out of the way. Not unlike our last couple of progression episodes, the ingot former and the salt mixer are both relatively simple to make for the part of the game that we're at. As you can see, they're almost identical other than a couple components each, but all of this is pretty easy at this point, as will be the case with almost all of these machines. And now the two of them are made. The salt mixer combines fluids together and the ingot former makes molten liquids into ingots. Pretty self-explanatory, also machines that I don't need, so they're getting boxed up for now. And now that we have these two out of the way, let's move on to the electrolyzer. And the electrolyzer is pretty much the same sort of thing. All of these machines follow a similar pattern. This is the next tier because it requires advanced plating though. Alright, so I've got the electrolyzer built and partially set up. I ran power in from the basement. I actually ran a tunnel out to my void miner back there in between episodes, so I already had a spot to pull this up from at least, and I've got this powered up. As you can see, I've got water coming in from the water source above it, and it's breaking into a lot of hydrogen, some deuterium, and oxygen, which is what we actually want. So next what we need to do is we need to pipe these out into a trash can and pump the oxygen into the next machine when we have it ready. And to do that, I'm using Ender fluid conduits, which can transport multiple fluids at a time, as well as allow you to filter on them. So what I'm gonna do is wire this up to a fluid trash can for now. And we'll tell it not to insert for the time being, so we can add a filter to it. And something I didn't know about Ender IO filters until recently. You can just take the fluid or item you want from JEI and just drag it over and just pop it in just like that. I didn't actually know that prior to this. But now that we've got it extracting, it's clearing out all the hydrogen and all the deuterium and just leaving the oxygen that we want. So the next step up is to add a melter to this and feed it sulfur to turn into liquid sulfur. And you guys have seen me make melters before. I've got like 3 or 4 of them in the basement already, just due to poor planning on my part. Okay, and now I have the melter added as well, piping in from a drawer above it, using normal Ender IO conduits so I can use the same spot I'm using the fluid conduits in. Next up is the chemical reactor to combine the two into sulfur dioxide. And the chemical reactor is more of the same, no real surprises here, except for the fact that I need 4 of these. Okay, and now we have the next step of the chain, making sulfur dioxide here. I have the sulfur piping out of the melter, along with the oxygen going into the chemical reactor. I set up a basic fluid filter to pull in the correct things to make sure that there weren't issues with this. I was getting water at first because the filter wasn't set up when I started it, but thankfully you can just shift click to clear the tank, which cleared the water out no problem. The next step is another chemical reactor, combining this with oxygen to make sulfur trioxide instead of dioxide. Alright, and that was pretty easy since, you know, I already made the other 3 chemical reactors that I needed. I did have to go get speed upgrades for the electrolyzer though, because I wasn't producing oxygen fast enough to keep it with the 2 chemical reactors that were using it. And next up is the 3rd chemical reactor, which is water and the sulfur trioxide to make sulfuric acid. Hopefully you learn in chemistry not to spill this on yourself because this stuff's bad news. And you'll be shocked to know this was more of the same same. Although in here you see that I'm having a water shortage now, so I probably need to upgrade my compact infinite water source to the next tier. This is already the second tier. The third tier is a giant pain to make. It requires a ton of lead, but we might have to do that or add another one of these blocks, I'm not sure. But for now, I'm gonna press on because I don't actually need a ton of this. And the next step is the fluid enricher to make fluorite water from crushed fluorite and, unsurprisingly, water. And this makes the final solution for the last chemical reactor. And unsurprisingly, at this point, you'll find that the fluid enricher recipe is almost identical to all of the prior ones. And the fluid enricher is added to the array as well as a box for the crushed fluorite. I'm just going to manually point stuff over here as I need it for the time being. We'll work on automating the rest of it later. But inside here, you can see that it's taking the crushed fluorite and the water and turning it into fluorite water. As a reminder, you can either crush up fluorite, which comes from atomic reconstructing paradox, or else by rock crushing diorite into it to get the other materials as well. And with that, we can now add the last chemical reactor into the chain. And it is making hydrofluoric acid and calcium sulfate solution, and this is the one we want, so we can dump the hydrofluoric acid into the trash can. And the final step is to actually take that liquid and crystallize it into a powder using the crystallizer. And as with everything before, this looks exactly the same as the rest. And with the crystallizer in place, we are now able to make calcium sulfate. And with that, I am all out of excuses for starting into advanced rocketry now. And there, I made it, the structure blocks for Advanced Rocketry, which finally opened up the gate for it. So let's open up some loot chests and see what all we get. All right, and that's 7 of them. 3 void upgrades are fine, I guess. Food we've eaten. Soul beads, which I still don't remember what these do. Flux crystal block, huh? That would have been nice when I needed the flux crystals to make the structure blocks a second ago. Hollow projector, which I think just unlocked another quest. Food we've eaten. 1 extra loot box from the titanium the opening quest gave us. And Tinker's Eye of Smart Output, which would have been nice, except I've got as many of these as I need right now. So, not all that exciting, but a fair amount of progress for one small, tiny task. But at least I figured it out, and at least it's done. So, as always, I'm Ard. Thank you for watching, and have a good day.